Minecraft is a serious contender for one of the best games of all time, and it's easy to see why. The simple graphics, the wide sandbox variety, and its utter charm have created an air of timeless nostalgia around it, but it's strange to see how much the game has changed from where it first began. Back then you just had single player and your imagination, whereas now there are entire servers where you can connect and play with basically anyone. Minecraft servers really connected the communities that had formed around the game, and there was a new chance for people to share their creativity with others. But during the whole advent of Minecraft servers, the entire scene became more competitive, not just in players being able to compete with each other on various game modes, but also in the servers themselves, battling each other for a larger player base and more money. There's Hypixel, The Hive, Mineplex, even the Lifeboat Network for Pocket Edition, and of course all the Minecraft YouTubers who made their own servers for their viewers. They had become active businesses and revenue streams, logistical complications where moderators sustained a perfect balance for their payment. And if you know one thing about businesses or the market, is that everything had changed like that. The Minecraft community was very aware. It had been on a rollercoaster reputation for the past few years. The name Minecraft once brought up images of annoying children and creepy pedophiles, but since then it had been slowly healing and began a resurgence in around 2018. Talented creators put the community on their back, and nostalgia started to bring people back to simpler times, and that is the landscape that our story is set in. Today, you might recognise Jack Sucks at Life from his videos on YouTube play buttons, analytics, or GeoGuessr. But before all that, Jack built his channel on Minecraft and his own server, known as Skycade. Jack would often make content out of catching hackers on his server, and the videos regularly hit over 1 million views at one point. This only advertised Skycade and his community more and more. Yet, Skycade soon began to disappear from Jack's channel as time passed. Today, it's a deleted ghost town, littered with the echoes of mismanagement, predation, and negligence. This is a peek through the looking glass, and the internal decay that led to the death of a Minecraft server. From the minute Jack started doing YouTube, you could see that something was different about him. Back then, most YouTubers would have to grind their ass off before getting even a hint of an audience. But Jack's YouTube startups were incredibly successful despite being brand new. A 14-year-old Jack first made a channel named Sam Smells of Apricots, and had created Angry Birds and Temple Run animations that had gotten upwards of 1 million views, with the Temple Run in real life video getting over 6 million views. When it came to his new channel 2 years later, named Jack Sucks at Minecraft, within a couple of months he was also doing pretty well. Clearly inspired by the likes of Skydoes Minecraft, even in name, his Minecraft mod showcases gave him a running head start for his career. Vegas Pro 12 watermark be damned, his videos were still doing well, and by the end of the summer, Jack had over 10,000 subscribers. Not as much as before, but still this is pretty impressive for the time. Jack's review of the Minecraft Girlfriends mod would even go as high as his previous channel, racking up almost 6 million views, though today it no longer can be found on his channel. Why? One word: embarrassment.
Which girlfriend is more my type? You know, I think I do like brunettes, so let's just limber up. I'm getting a little bit nervous. Time to turn on the Jackster charm. Let's just casually sneak up on it. Excuse me, Mom. I've got a rose here. Yeah, you like that? Hey, girl. How you doing, girl? You looking fine.
Despite how quickly Jack had set off, his mod showcases and growth from them also presented a problem. His audience wasn't watching for him, they were watching for the mod of the week, and his success was only tied to that trend. Jack would hit the 100,000 subscriber mark around a year later, yet his videos barely clawed past the 10k mark. This is normally where small YouTubers who blow up in subscribers meet their first hurdle. Everyone always works towards that video that will make them popular and carry them to the top of the mountain. Few actually think about what they'll do after, and some quit because they feel like they've already finished YouTube, or it becomes less fun, or they feel like it was a fluke and they can never reach that peak again. The only way for these new YouTubers to survive on relevancy is to change. By early 2014, Jack was already orienting his channel towards Minecraft servers, and eventually went all in with one of his own. It was called Evo PvP. Nope, not Skycade yet, but a PvP server inspired by the works of one Mr. Evo. This is really where Jack would start to cut his teeth on server management, and drive traffic to the server through making videos. It didn't resonate with his current audience at first, but it didn't seem to matter to him, and his status as a co-owner would help him learn. It's during this time that he became close with two integral people that we will be discussing soon. One of them was Joe Wild, known online as Turkey Dinosaur. Joe and Jack met in college and became friends pretty quickly. Jack would eventually introduce Joe to Minecraft and his content, and the two went on to even live with each other for a bit. Jack would also meet a young moderator and player on Evo PvP, who he would come to grow close with later, known as WelshAlex. Jack later left Evo PvP, apparently due to disagreements with the other owners. He felt the server was playing into a pay-to-win factor, and the highly toxic community drove him away. His breakaway creation with Joe would be his new server, play.skycade.net, more focused on the factions game mode than the PvP on the previous server. Now obviously with the fact that he was now the actual owner of the server and had to build a staff team from scratch, Jack had to deal with the issues of hackers a lot more face to face. After all, with game modes like factions, it's obvious some people will try to get an unfair advantage. But rather than seeing this as another annoyance, Jack had a genius idea. What if he made the usually mundane task of catching hackers on his server into content? Not only would it be entertaining to see what he did, who he caught and what happened, but the benefits and promotion were exponential. Actually policing your server, showing people how you did it and making it more fair for everyone is only going to make people want to join it more. Plus the potential of being publicly shamed on YouTube to thousands of people and possibly being banned from other servers probably scared a fair few hackers away. Jack may not have been the first to make this kind of content, but it worked for him, and his personality really began to shine through. The videos had stories that made him feel far more interesting than the usual Let's Play, and Jack and Joe's creative ideas of how to fuck with the people he caught cheating were great to see.
Well, I think I might potentially have a cheeky little fella draw. I'm not 100% sure, but TP the creamer monster.
I see him.
So we can see that there's a big old pipe to this base right here.
Oh,
I was checking his homes, and if you go to raid G on his homes, there's a little raid, but there's a pipe directly to the surface as if he's X-rayed this raid.
Someone in chat has also said he's X-rayed. So have a look at him. He does have very poor posture.
Does he really? Jesus, I mean, have we got bloody double trouble?
I think we might do. I've gone for it.
Creamer's on his way. Creamer's on his way. Creamer's looking at it. Yeah, Joe, he's an X-ray. I've got him on it. Yeah, he's mining straight down on top of it. Alright, so where's your guy? You need to catch him and then we can get them to hang out together.
He's not.
Is he not actually X-rayed?
Wait. He is.
I see it. Oh!
Ah, what a scum!
Dirty little scumbag. Right, let's get a feel for these guys. So I was wondering if I could introduce you to my new friend.
Who's this?
This is Creamer Monster. He's a mate of mine, Joe. Oh, did you see his little bounce?
He's bunny hopping.
What's he doing? He's got like some kind of like glide jump boost hack thing going on.
Mate, you know what happens? I'm gonna drop him a sword so he can fight the other two.
I like it. Oh Jesus! He's just geared up. He's not messing around. This guy.
I see that. Creamer monster!
Oh!
Incredible, Liz.
Wait. Again!
No, what about the other guy who was his mate? Where's he gone?
Oh, there he is. Who the hell's this?
Carter.
Carter wasn't the original guy. Who am I killing? Oh,
everyone!
Yeah. Oh, there we go. He's gone for
it.
Oh, he got himself stuck in the thick web. What a noob. Come on, Carter. I mean, that guy's been dead a while. Oh, there we go. Teapots down. Go on, finish them off.
The channel had tons of great high-profile moments, from catching server mods hacking to a banned hacker going rogue and griefing the server due to a mistake from Jack. It created many of these had-to-be-there moments for Skycade. Jack also made videos trolling his staff, which gave the viewers an insight into how it all worked, and put personalities to names.
Thing is, like 10 minutes before he banned someone
yeah, that's what I mean.
For X-ray.
Let me send...
He's been hacked, but he didn't log out or anything, so I'm assuming it was abuse.
Wait, Nura?
Yeah, Nora.
Nura, just quickly.
Nora.
It was me the whole time. I'm very sorry.
For God's sake, Jack!
I've repaired your base. I've put some chests down. Please don't hit me. I'm very, very sorry.
No, I was like, oh my god, no. Jack!
Oh god.
But GG for handling it so well, staff team.
I'm annoyed, Jack.
Sorry about that.
I'm like crying. Oh my god.
Oh no.
What happened, Alex?
I just dripped sauce on my white t-shirt.
Oh, nightmare.
As Jack's hacker trolling videos got more popular, he became very close with his friend Joe. They had already been pretty close during the Evo PvP days, doing IRL content together and going to local Minecraft conventions, but Joe's role became way more significant, especially in many of the factions videos on Skycade and then the hacker trolling series. For the next year, Joe and Jack would grow the Skycade server together, and things seemed to be generally solid. 2017 was a great year in general for Jack's channel, as it seemed he had finally gotten a second wind. But the peace wouldn't last. Whilst Jack had profited from the success of Skycade and the flourishing of his content, Joe's benefits from the server appeared to be a lot more personal, to put it crudely. On the 5th of August 2017, Jack issued a public statement to the Skycade server forums about Joe. The statement is no longer archived, but we know what it was all about. During his time at Skycade, Joe had been talking inappropriately with minors. He would preside over the applications for staff on the server, talk to the girls who were around 14 to 16, whilst he was around 21 to 22 years old. He'd get close and personal with them, and then quote-unquote drunkenly message them on Snapchat, saying the girls had a better chance to become staff if they sent him explicit pictures. Some girls obliged, and lo and behold, they became staff members not too long after. Joe asked around 6 girls as far as we know, and at least 3 of them obliged to his requests. Obviously this was predatory by all means. Joe took advantage of his position on the server for exploitation. It's an open and shut case. That is, of course, assuming that Jack didn't know what Joe was doing. Whilst researching this topic, I managed to contact a former moderator for Skycade known as Taeyeon2, who was very open and helpful. Taeyeon was there for basically all of Skycade, from its first few steps all the way to its pitiful end. She was actually a developer for the server, and found herself pretty close to some of Skycade's biggest controversies later down the line. I genuinely really appreciate her answering the interview we had, because it plugs so many holes in the story. When it came to Joe, Taeyeon said that Joe wasn't removed by a vote from the staff members, it was a straight decision from Jack, which makes sense. Whilst the details on what happened are still blurry to this day, it's reasonable to assume that he handled this in a tactile and swift way. Taeyeon noted that Jack seemed to change a lot after banning Joe, and cites this as the beginning of him losing interest in Skycade. If true, his reasons for doing so are completely understandable. If you found out your best friend, who you made a server with, was being a pedo, I can imagine the blame you must be putting on yourself for not finding it out earlier. I mean, remember, the two lived with each other. Jack has never mentioned what happened to Joe on his main channel, and I can see why, but if you pull on some loose threads from his videos, you can find some references somewhere. For example, Jack made a video reacting to diss tracks related to Skycade and its players in August 2017, around the time of Joe's ban. One of them that he reacts to is a full Skycade diss track made by a user named Pons.
Let's just check out the next one. So this one is a diss track from that Pons guy again. You know, the Phoenix Tree fella. Now, the only bit that's really relevant for the video is the beginning. So the only bit that's really relevant to the video is the part where he messes with me, which fortunately is right at the beginning. So last time, the only thing that he could think of that rhymed with wannabe was Phoenix Tree. So let's check out his sick rhymes in this one.
Skycade, the worst Minecraft probe owned by a
Minecraft probe. That is a term I have not heard before. The one probe mod? Was he referencing the one probe mod? I don't think he was referencing the one probe mod.
Skycade, the worst Minecraft probe owned by a YouTuber who wears a bathrobe.
Damn it! Yes, I do like to wear a dressing gown. It's not called a bathrobe in the UK, and I believe you're from the UK, so call it by the correct term, please, Pons. But anyway, why are you calling me out for wearing a dressing gown?
But in this reaction, he only really reacts to 4 bars. Seems the whole thing was cut a little short, and to find out why, you only have to look at the lyrics that followed. And don't get me started on Joe the Turkey Dino, who manipulates staff like Liv, what a pedo. To think that Jack was friends with him, well, surprise to the fans, what a kick in the shin. Now let's talk about ex-mod Referina, always thinking you're the prime ballerina, bossing people about here and there, and then when you resigned you went back to childcare. Wow, bars.
That's called motherfucking bars!
But also a small window, an insight into the rumours and gossip going around Skycade at the time. With all the mods obviously having a presence on the server, as well as the server's community being plastered on YouTube, speculation was rife. Infighting was inevitable, and already the server was beginning to splinter. Staff members like Nora, who had made full appearances in Jack's videos, were caught abusing their permissions, and the mods filed entire investigations. As modern day outsiders though, we will probably never get to see this, because there was a purge of the Skycade forums in 2018. This means that any access to the old posts or archives about any of this is all locked off. But from what we have, we can imagine it was chaos. After Joe's banning from Skycade, a huge hole existed in the staff team. Joe had a lot of responsibilities at the time of his ban. He was a staff manager, as well as a content manager for the Skycade server's events and game modes, and also responsible for building the server spawn. The ranks needed filling, an entire builder team was recruited, and Joe's roles were split between Jack's most trusted moderators. A senior mod named Holly became staff manager, whilst WelshAlex became content manager, ruling over the server decisions of Skycade. The choice of Alex as content manager was definitely interesting. On one hand, hand, he was a capable moderator who Jack had worked with, someone who had climbed the ranks since the very beginning. But even during this time, he was getting caught up with allegedly abusing his mod permissions to give his friend some extra help. It was an uncertain person to trust, but Jack's rebuild from what should have been a destructive controversy was still successful. Skycade's culture stayed as strong as it had before. Although there were many game modes, there were 3 that were the most popular or main ones. There was Kit PvP, a PvP arena with different kits with different abilities. Then there was OP Factions, a survival multiplayer on the same massive world where all players would get the best armor and be able to set bases and raid each other for loot. And lastly, there was Skyblock, where you had to obviously build out from an island in the sky with items from a nearby shop available. There was also SMP, Normal Factions, Kit Map, but those main 3 are at least the ones I remember the most. The ability to have a forum site for any issues or discussion only strengthened Skycade's community. People were able to talk with each other way more, and the server seemed to be far more oriented towards the community. Jack's videos were drawing you in, but the memories you made with your friends on Skycade was what kept you around. During 2017 to 2019, Jack's channel would begin to grow faster than it ever had before.
We're going to find one last hacker after him. I think we'll make him write his poem in the hacker cage. Because I've had a lot of requests to do more hacker cages. He's currently jumping. I don't know if that's just part of his creative process or what. What you doing, Stripix? If you jump and you don't have your bloody book GUI open. He didn't sign it. He did put it in the middle though. Oh, and then he logged out. Oh, hold on. I think this might be in a bit of an aggressive poem. Shall we have a look? Second page. Of course, that is a perm ban. He did not play by the rules, but that was that was funny. Okay, I've just DB'd to this guy. He's got a bit of a weird route going on, so I'm wondering if he's maybe X-raying diamonds. I'm going to check his inventory, see if he's got 3 diamonds and he's got an emerald as well. Right, he's currently moving about, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit inside of him so we can... He is X-raying diamonds, or at least that might just be a lucky guess. He might have just got lucky there. We'll wait again. If he goes directly to some more diamonds, then he's definitely just started X-raying. Wait for it, wait for it. To be fair to him, if he was X-raying, I would have guessed he'd have probably found some more diamonds by now. He might be legit, you know. He's gone in a straight line for a really long time. He seemed to be more sporadic before I got there, though. So this is why you always make sure your evidence is sufficient. If I'd just banned him because he mined straight to those diamonds, it might have been a false ban. Wait, he's just turned the corner. And he's mined some more diamonds. Why would he suddenly turn the corner there and get his first diamonds in ages? Oh, he's just set himself on lava. See, someone that was X-raying normally doesn't walk into lava. But I don't know, I'm proper confused. I'd normally kind of count that as sufficient, but it's just the fact that it took so long for him to get to his next piece of diamonds. He's maybe just being careful about it. He doesn't want to get banned, so he's mining like the minimum that he can get away with. I don't know. We're going to have to keep on this guy and find out where it is he goes to next. Got it again, so I'm going to just sit inside of him and we'll just watch exactly where it is he goes to. If he mines to some more diamond now, he's X-raying. He's just mined some more diamond. This guy is an X-raying scumbag. Look at that. I don't know what this big long pipe was about. He's just turned the corner. I think he's about to mine some more diamonds, probably. He's looking down at the... Yeah, 1000% X-ray.
2018 to 2019 was the most successful period so far for Jack's channel. His Harmony Hollow series, his Reddit videos, random playful beef with other YouTubers, editing videos sent out to his fans, and his early analytics-based content were all around here. This all happened alongside the constant videos and events that he did on Skycade. His advertisement for Skycade, by making the domain into a meme of some sorts, even in non-Skycade videos, only made it grow more. Jack would also compete in the Minecraft Mondays event, run by Keemstar. I swear to fucking god, this guy makes a guest appearance in like every online story ever. Minecraft Mondays was an event where several YouTubers, both Minecraft based and not, would play against each other in various minigames for a prize every week. Jack played in a fair few of them, but later left along with a lot of other people after Keemstar kicked out a participant named A6D for not having enough viewers just 2 hours before the event. Another popular series that Jack would do around this time was an Editor ARG series, along with Wilbur Soot. That is unlucky. But whilst things were all swell on Jack's main channel, Skycade was a different story. Whilst Jack had started to drift away to other content, Skycade appeared to become less oriented towards community. It seemed more and more like there wasn't a day where there wasn't any sort of sale or offer on in the store. Additionally, Jack's innovations to the hacker trolling series included using random things to issue the length of their ban, like lottery cards or Twitter users. Sure, that made for even more entertaining content, but were they fair to everyone on the server? By pure chance, hackers would either get a slap on the wrist or an undeserved ban lasting far longer than the standard. As Jack's videos grew, his moderators also began to have a far more pronounced presence and personality in his Minecraft videos. Recognizable names could be seen who were always banning hackers that Jack caught, and the server continued to be stable. But power corrupts, and mods often get massive egos. Over time, Jack had pretty much left Skycade in the hands of the mods and only as a moneymaker. Taeyeon noted that Jack seemed to be distant when it came to communication between him and the other staff. He wasn't exactly involved in the server content at all, and relied on the capable hands of WelshAlex. That was a mistake. Alex soon became a figure of hatred for the player base for many reasons. His ideas that he started bringing to the table were less and less successful, and more out of nowhere to fulfill his own projects and ego. For example, he decided to add new game modes to the server, like GTA, Classic/Hardcore Skyblock, and Cookie Clicker, none of which were ever recommended by anyone and were just his ideas. He cared a lot more about his opinion rather than what the players were asking for, and ignored anyone who was pointing out that a badly put together and rushed Minecraft Cookie Clicker wasn't going to resonate with a fanbase that largely played game modes like Kit PvP or Factions, very competitively based games. During 2019, Jack was doing a series on a game mode called Skycade, where you have a lot of blocks apart in a grid-like pattern on a world. Rather than letting this go though, Alex decided to jump on it and rush through development of a Skygrid game mode on Skycade. Within the time it took to develop, Jack's series was already reaching its end, and the game mode launched late and was ultimately unsuccessful. The implication you get from seeing these catastrophically handled launches is a total lack of communication between any party, whether that be Jack or Alex or the rest of the staff. And that seems to be the truth. Taeyeon says that Jack became more difficult to reach over time, even to any of the staff. It seems like it was a send an email and pray kind of situation, and it definitely seems that Jack only saw Skycade as another money stream and took barely any time towards facilitating it on his own. He just left Alex to do all the creative and business decisions. As far as Alex's communication with the rest of the staff, it was apparently terrible. He barely gave staff any heads up or time to prepare ideas at meetings, and over time they became hesitant to even suggest anything because as soon as they did, Alex would immediately shut it down. He followed a very basic mentality of you get paid anyways, so you shouldn't care. It was very clear Alex didn't give a shit about their opinions. He was only looking for an echo chamber. And it wasn't like these ideas were just something he worked on the side. He would prioritize development time towards his own ideas and take the resources away from people working on the existing game modes. Most recommendations for more features on the already popular existing game modes were just ignored. The new and unnecessary workload, along with the amount of imposing deadlines that Alex added, meant that the development of the new game modes would have tons and tons of bugs and glitches inside the game, and the bugs and glitches inside the old game modes weren't being addressed. Alex would even apparently bring forward release dates when the dev team told him the prison game mode revamp wasn't ready in time. The players and eventually the staff were all asking for bug fixes, but Alex continued to ignore them. Before one of Kit PvP's new launches, the staff decided to try a process of making a beta version, and it worked at identifying bugs early and making the later launch way smoother. Yet, when they suggested the same for Factions, Alex shut it down and said it wouldn't work with no basis on his doubt. The staff felt disrespected and unhappy, especially when they had to play to Alex's favoritism. He was essentially their manager or their boss, but it seemed he had no idea what he was doing. He was far more fixated on Factions, not even prioritizing planning for Kit PvP during Christmas breaks, and again there was no attention towards fixing bugs on any of the other broken servers. Obviously, all these terrible decisions would annoy the players of the server, and they would make their disapproval known over time, but instead of acknowledging the criticism, you guessed it, Alex straight up brushed it off. The game mode Duels, for example, was completely broken because there was a glitch that extended reach during the 1v1s, but Alex just ignored the issue until staff argued with him about it and he eventually conceded. The bugs for the game mode Skyblock took up 2 out of 5 full GitLab pages. Per staff documents, the game mode was severely broken and needs attention. Stuff like this definitely made the players feel alone and disappointed, and the server would start to lose its most long-term and well-known players. Other people felt as if the staff were too biased towards those who had bought a rank and let them get away with breaking the rules. The rules in general were also notoriously complicated, and people would be banned for not understanding minute issues from said rules. Alex again ignored all feedback to change the rules and make them more clear, and as his public appearances whittled down to just being AFK or fighting with people, things began to turn sour. Alex's reputation soon turned to being the worst in the entire server, especially when he was going on insane power trips and blatantly censoring players. Sometimes he would threaten to ban people on the Discord server without any rule citation. Sometimes he'd just fight with players endlessly or mute them for saying he was a bad manager. One time, he even banned a member of his own Minecraft faction just because they annoyed him. As this power trip continued, more players would fight out in defiance and try to offend this sensitive pussy. The whole environment caused the server to eventually split into two sides of the fanbase. The first group criticized and went at Alex and the staff, the second group tried to dismiss and curb these people as toxic players for the good of the server. By now, many players felt there wasn't even a point to report anything because they felt the staff just wouldn't look at it or even take action. During spring 2019, Alex would begin pulling down as many threads as he could that were criticizing him on the Skycade forums. Open letters warning the Skycade community, made out of a love for the server, were again ignored. It was during this time that Alex's power trip began to spread to his control over the staff. He would start personally demoting people from the staff team because he didn't like them, and at that point, things were going to become a lot worse. The hatred against Alex reached its eruption in summer 2019, when a moderator by the name of Astroar was demoted because he didn't like the way the server was managed. That's it. Astroar's demotion and the reason for it eventually got out to the public, and they were understandably enraged at what Alex was doing. Many called the server a dictatorship with him at its helm, and barely anything getting through to Jack. Alex would respond by censoring everything against him and instructing the staff to do the same, going into total lockdown mode. This was the point that most of the OG players of Skycade would leave. The heart of the server had seemingly died. Alex's dismissive demeanor and toxic power tripping would reflect on the staff members, who would then reflect onto the player base that they dealt with. The player base would then bite back with a similar level, get banned, and only turn the wheel of the toxic cycle. The only result of this was that players were obviously going to leave. It was a net loss. Any which way you looked at Skycade, it was clear the server was failing under Alex's wing. For an indicator for how severe this was, consider that during early 2017, before Alex took over, Skycade reached a milestone of 10,000 bans on the server. And keep in mind, this is bans issued, not banned players. If someone was banned for 30 days, came back after 30 days and was banned again, that would count as 2 bans, you get the idea. But by early 2018, they'd got from 10,000 to 50,000. By late 2018, it was 100,000. Obviously, Jack becoming more popular with his videos had an effect, but there was definitely a side of it that contributed to how trigger happy Alex was. But that wasn't all. Alex's control over the staff was absolute for a while, but he took a special interest in one particular moderator. In 2017, Alex met a young staff member on Skycade named Space, a prospective player who had risen the ranks to the level of senior mod pretty fast. Alex immediately became close with Space and invited her to his Skycade guild named Parliament. Obviously strange that a 22-year-old Alex would be so friendly to a 15-year-old Space, especially when they're both technically co-workers. But no one suspected much, and to be fair, Alex wasn't initially doing anything wrong. It was only when Space got admin role a year later that Alex's attitude began to show its true colours. Around March 2018, Alex and Space would start to get uncomfortably close behind the scenes. Alex would begin to flirt with Space, ask her personal things, talk to her on Snapchat, and pester her for selfies. At first, Space obliged, as she felt there wasn't anything wrong with this, but it only took a few months for Alex's mood to change. He would start to get incredibly angry at Space over everything she would do, only for his demeanor to change to friendly again. When she talked to different people, he would berate her for not being in calls with him. He would have arguments with her every single day, and she couldn't escape this because they were still technically co-workers, still working in the same staff team. Alex was still her boss. Which makes it even worse that over time, Alex increasingly wouldn't take no for an answer when pestering Space about getting selfies. In February 2019, pretty uncomfortable by what she was going through, Space mustered up the courage to report WelshAlex to Jack Sucks at Life. She allegedly collected hundreds of screenshots, explained all of them, and sent it to him. She hoped she would get a reply, and surprisingly, she got one. But Jack's response was him saying he couldn't do anything. You see, according to Space, Jack said the decision to remove Alex was a joint decision. Above the staff members was Alex, and above Alex was Jack, the owner, but above Jack was Dwayne, the server admin who only worked on the technical side of hosting and running the server. He rarely got involved in the staff business at all. Yet, according to Space, Jack had said it was a joint decision between him and Dwayne on removing Alex. Dwayne had said no, so there was no way he could take action. We'll get back to this soon, but for now, Space accepted Jack's decision and felt that maybe she was still in the wrong. She asked Jack to not tell Alex about this report, and Jack agreed, but only for a little bit. During an argument with Alex and Space 2 months later, Alex brought up the report as if it was a betrayal, and used it to berate her some more. WelshAlex, if you have an issue with it, you can report me to Jack. Wouldn't be the first time. I'm sure he'll agree. I don't owe my time to anyone. Thought you'd just deny it, to be honest, but there we are. Nothing to say at all. Just that. Space. What do you want me to say then? WelshAlex, I don't know, maybe why you do that, maybe that warrants an apology. Space, what have I said to Jack then? WelshAlex, oh right, so now you want to deny it, do you? From then on, Alex and Space's friendship would stay the same as it had been before. Tons of arguing, and then Alex being friendly and asking for selfies and complimenting her. Space would be promoted to staff manager during this time, and would make a lot of constant fuck-ups that contributed to the server's decay. But can you blame her that much, considering the position she's in? It's worth noting that Space says there was never a relationship between her and Alex, but it's very clear Alex had feelings for Space and was behaving inappropriately. For one, there are DMs where he feels as if she's betrayed him by dating someone else. And two, why do you think he's complimenting her and flirting with her and asking for selfies? To me, that clearly reads as if he's got his own little sad workaround so he doesn't get caught the same way Joe had been. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. By late 2019, the staff's anger and annoyance at Alex had reached its boiling point. Their treatment and all the issues that Alex had caused to the server was too much. Unified, they went to Taeyeon, who created a document detailing everyone's issues, which we've sourced a lot of here. She then sent this document to Jack, urging him to demote Alex immediately. But he did not respond. It's unclear whether he just didn't receive it or he ignored it, but regardless, in response, the staff began to plan a full worker strike until Alex was demoted. Remember, this is a Minecraft server where they're still being paid for their work. They will unionize. The document stated that the staff, led by Space and Taeyeon, would stop replying to messages, stop dealing with appeals or reports, stop doing their duties on Discord or the Skycade forums, and stop moderating the server. If it went through, this would have caused havoc across the entire server and made it complete chaos. Fortunately for Skycade, the strike was called off, and by pure chance. In a last-ditch effort, Space gathered together all she had on WelshAlex and sent it all, along with Taeyeon's report, to someone else. If Jack was ignoring them, she would directly go to the man above him, Dwayne, the server admin. Remember how Jack was apparently saying that Dwayne was the one to say no and kept Alex on the team? Well, when Space talked to Dwayne, he seemed far more understanding than Jack had ever been, and quickly acted on the situation. The strike was called off, Dwayne talked to Jack, and finally, WelshAlex's reign of terror ended with his removal from the server. He would give up on talking to Space, send a goodbye message, and then leave everything. Now, whilst Alex was dealt with, I'm sure you have a very big question on your mind. Where on earth was Jack Sucks at Life? To be clear, Jack was pretty much the only person who was able to remove Alex. He was in charge of removing managers. Not only did he have the power, but unlike Dwayne, whose job was mostly technical and server-based, one of the parts of Jack's job was to oversee reports about managers. Old forum posts showcase staff policy and how reports about managers like Alex would have to go to Jack or through a staff member who could connect them to Jack. It wasn't just one of his jobs, it was one of his only jobs. Listen, if you want to sit in your ass about your server and just do other content, use it basically as a money machine, that's one thing. But if you don't have the semblance to remove the guy who's causing all the issues, something's up. As Taeyeon said before, Jack was pretty unreachable to the point that he didn't respond to most of what the staff said. And actually, Astroar said that he reported Alex's creepy behavior towards other staff members. Astra says he reported it to Jack many times via business email and nothing came of it. His friends who were still in the staff team tried contacting Jack, and they also apparently received radio silence. And if you're so unreachable that your entire staff team has to reach out to another guy above you who has to do your job for you, there's a fucking problem. But let's also discuss these reports. When Space first reported Alex to Jack in February 2019, that report found its way to Alex despite the fact that Space said she told Jack not to. If we're to believe Space, and to be fair her account's been pretty accurate, her initial report on Alex had hundreds of screenshots. And to be clear, the public and the Skycade player base have only seen a fraction of them and have already made up their mind. So Jack saw more than what we have and eventually forwarded the thing to the freak she's reporting. How on earth did this get to Alex? If it wasn't purposeful, it's dangerously negligent. The only other culprit for this would be Dwayne, the server admin. In fact, apparently he was the reason why Alex wasn't banned in the first place. But what makes me doubt that is that when Space went to Dwayne, she said he was far more understanding. And secondly, Astroar has also said that whilst on the mod team, he made reports to Jack about Space's behavior as a mod, and those reports were also leaked directly to Alex. For fuck's sake, even Taeyeon's document that she sent to Jack in late 2019 notes the people on the staff knew that something weird was going on between Alex and Space. They didn't suspect it at first, knowing only of his behaviors towards others, but they noted it down. Jack was reportedly one of the only people who knew about the extent of Alex and Space's situation. But no, the report that gets sent to Jack is now sent to Alex. Think back to the DMs of Alex confronting Space on why she'd made the report about him. Quote, "If you have an issue with it, you can report me to Jack. Wouldn't be the first time. I'm sure he'll agree I don't owe my time to anyone." The fact that 3 staff members have said that Jack ignored reports about Alex and sent reports about him or other staff to Alex indicates something serious. And this doesn't even touch on the hundreds of complaints from players about Alex running the server into the ground. If he wasn't removed for being inappropriate, why wasn't he removed for his server actions? To be clear, not a lot is confirmed here. We have a lot of evidence that Alex is a weirdo, and we have evidence that the report made its way to Alex. But what seriously ties this to Jack is based on testimony. Testimony from 3 former moderators, including the girl who was affected, on a case that began behind the scenes 7 years ago. The implication made here is incredibly serious, and questions need to be asked. So I asked them. Whilst working on this video, I emailed Jack Sucks at Life, letting him know I used to play on Skycade and I was making a video. To my utter surprise, he responded, and here is our entire correspondence. So I emailed him at 1:49 AM saying, "Hi, I'm a YouTuber who used to play on your Skycade server back when you ran it. I'm currently looking into some stuff regarding the server and your time in charge. Was wondering if you'd be alright with talking, as I've got a few questions. Please let me know if or when you can talk. Thank you." Jack responded at 11:52 AM. "Hello, feel free to send over your questions and I will do my best to answer them. Thanks, Jack." 2 hours later, I responded with this. "Sure, thank you so much for responding. 1. A former admin known as II posted in 2022 about her experience with WelshAlex and how he was behaving inappropriately with her. Space stated publicly that she contacted you around February 2019 by collecting hundreds of screenshots, explaining every single one, and sending it all to you. She stated that you responded and said you ultimately couldn't remove Alex. Is this true? And if so, why?" Notice I did not mention the stuff where she says that Jack talked to Dwayne, because I didn't want to give him an easy way out by just writing off that statement. 2. Space said that she ultimately accepted this, but asked you not to tell Alex about the report, and you apparently said you would. 2 months later, Alex got a hold of the report and berated Space for reporting and betraying him. Another moderator has also said that reports to you about Space would also make its way to Alex. So how did the report from Space get into Alex's hands? And how were reports about managers handled on your end? 3. Another former moderator, Astroar, stated publicly that he and others repeatedly reported WelshAlex to you for making other female Skycade staff members uncomfortable. There were also general reports about WelshAlex from other staff members for his poor conduct and terrible decisions for the Skycade server in general. A moderator stated that a report was sent to you in late 2019 on behalf of the entire staff, which outlined all of Alex's biggest mistakes. Both moderators say that you did not respond at all. Is this true? If so, why wasn't any action taken sooner? 4. Space said that in February 2020, she went to the server admin Dwayne with her experience with Alex, along with a report made about him. It was only then that Dwayne talked to you, and Alex was then removed from the server. Is this true? 5. A moderator stated that following your leave from the Skycade server, you did not let any of the staff know that you were leaving before making your forum post. Is this true or not? And question 6, which we will discuss next segment, because that information hasn't come up yet. But the question is about Skycade and finances. If any more questions come to mind, I'll send you a follow-up email. Thank you, Toastify. Jack responded about 5 hours later, saying, "Hi Toastify, these questions are far more serious than I was anticipating. I'm presuming you're hoping to make a commentary video about this subject. Obviously this is not something that I would personally approve of. Everything mentioned happened many years ago. If there is someone out there who believes that another person acted inappropriately/illegally, then my advice would be for them to seek justice by informing the police. A YouTube video would certainly cause more harm than good, and if you do proceed with the video, I request that my entire response is included so that your viewers have full context to anything I say." The next little paragraph is him answering question 6. Again, we'll get onto this later, but you can see it's about Skycade and money. Now, in response to the more serious matters he mentioned, 2019 was 6 years ago, and sadly I do not remember the specifics, nor did I have much involvement with the server or its staff at that time. My role was to create YouTube videos, and that was pretty much it. It's also difficult to fact check things, as a lot of the server's platforms are totally gone now. Once again, if something illegal has happened, then the people involved should contact the police. YouTube drama videos solve nothing, and only create harmful triggers for those involved. I feel like your email insinuates that I've apparently ignored/covered up inappropriate behavior. While I am not perfect, I do not think this is true. In 2017, when I was more involved with the server, someone very close to me at the time was found to be speaking to people on the server inappropriately, and I immediately removed them from the network, reached out to those involved, released a public statement, and ceased any contact with the person at fault. From that point onwards, I chose to focus purely on being the public face of Skycade, and my responsibilities ended at creating content. Other people were responsible for managing staff, and it isn't something I had much to do with. That being said, if other staff were inappropriate to members of the community, then I am incredibly sad that my server indirectly created a place that allowed something like that to happen. I hope anyone impacted by this are okay, and advise them to seek legal advice if they require it. I won't be responding to any further emails, as once again, I do not see why your involvement could create anything positive, nor do I think a YouTube video is a mature or appropriate way to try and resolve something as serious as this. Now, whilst I will let Jack's response and statement stand, I will not let it go unchallenged. Despite all the very pointed and straightforward questions I asked about people saying he was dodging reports, the answers I got were what I felt were very much dodging my questions. The first major point Jack makes is that he doesn't approve of the way I'm going about this and that the police should be involved. Whilst I obviously agree with the general sentiment of working with authorities, I believe it does not apply to the situation. What happened with WelshAlex happened years ago, as you admit in your own words. If this was something that happened recently, and I had actual contact with the victims of Alex, then yes, I would have obviously gone to the police and not the internet. But by now, that chance is long gone. And I want to know if it could have been acted on earlier and why it wasn't. This is why I am pressing you as the former owner, and supposedly the person responsible for removing him, who's been accused of ignoring reports about him or even sending those reports to the person accused, according to what I've seen and been told. And this leads me on to my second point. In this email, Jack says that after the whole incident with Joe, he stopped any involvement with the staff system of Skycade. He says that he was just a figurehead, a public face for the server. Quote, other people were responsible for managing staff, and it isn't something I had much to do with. And if this was only contradicted by testimony, I could believe it, but the existence of screenshots where staff members directly say in March 2019 that reports about Alex should go to Jack says otherwise. Your public statements on Twitter from 2019, where you say you've discussed server-related controversies with Alex in private, says otherwise. You can see why I personally believe this is a lie, or at least he's not letting on more than he knows. And again, this goes back to the point about the police. If I felt my video would interfere with legal matters or police investigations, I wouldn't have done it, obviously. The point being made here about you is that people in positions of authority with responsibilities who have let wrongdoing happen should be held accountable, and the statements that have been made, the evidence that still existed, and the responses that you gave me seems to point towards that person being you. Now, that is not me saying the evidence is 100% conclusive at all, let me make that clear, but my concern about this was only made stronger with his contradictory statements and lack of detail. With the exception of one question, Jack didn't address anything directly. No one else's name was even mentioned. He doesn't even say, no, this didn't happen. He says, while I am not perfect, I do not think this is true. You don't think this is true? Doesn't he sound less like a YouTuber and more like a politician? By the way, YouTube drama videos solve nothing and only create harmful triggers for those involved is a terrible point I just have to respond to. This is very obviously hiding behind the victims to deflect speculation. Now I can't criticize Jack because in the process, I'll be harming the victims. Trust me, anyone who cares about victims doesn't fling them out like a ragdoll as a shield. And also, this is coming from Jack, the guy who still has a ton of his videos with Joe public to this day. Even after making so much more content, it never crossed his mind that Joe's victims seeing him in videos would create harmful triggers for them. I guess you won't adhere to your Southern morals if there's a bunch of ad revenue in the way, but you will remove the video where you pretended you were hacked and griefed your server spawn, probably because it's the only video where you post the F-slur. Can't let Twitter get a hold of those clips. Come on, Jack. I gave you questions. Keep in mind, I didn't even say I had any evidence, and you gave me a vague non-response that plays it safe and doesn't commit to much other than saying basic agreeable statements like police involvement is good. I think I'm fine in saying the only thing this does is make Jack look way more suspicious than before. Freed from WelshAlex, Skycade staff would finally be free to start making good changes, and the next few months seemed great. The server was going smoothly, lots of bugs were fixed, and new features were added. The server wasn't even circling the drain at this point. The COVID lockdown was in effect, and a lot of people started playing Minecraft. Skycade's server numbers peaked. But despite this, the server was thrown the mother of all curveballs. In August 2020, Jack Sucks at Life announced he was leaving the server. After so long, Jack said that he felt, quote, demotivated with Skycade content and how repetitive it had been. With all the focus being put into other projects, he didn't have the time he once had to dedicate to the server. Ring any bells?
But eventually I kind of moved on from Minecraft, and I eventually stepped down from being part of the server as well, because I wasn't enjoying it as much, and I was getting a bit of pressure from behind the scenes where they were like trying to force me to keep doing videos even if I wasn't really feeling it anymore. So I just thought the best thing to do would be to just step away and let them do whatever they want with it.
Despite Jack saying his role wasn't as prevalent in the server anymore, the announcement came as a shock to everyone. This even includes the staff, who apparently weren't even told of this happening. Jack just threw this up on the forums without letting anyone know beforehand. This was a major issue because the server suddenly had no advertising lined up. If Jack had told them in advance, they could have had some time to sort some stuff out. Upon Jack's leave, he also gave away 500 iron ranks, which only helped to catastrophically debase the server's currency. Players stopped donating because they'd got what they wanted, on top of losing players who had stuck around because of Jack. Now, I asked Jack about some stuff regarding his leaving in my email. This was the 6th question I had. The question was, there are rumours that you were still earning some sort of money from Skycade after you had left, and this continued all the way to the server's demise. There's also a lot of speculation and sentiment from players and moderators alike that the server only meant a money stream to you around 2018 to 2020. Are the post-leave quote-unquote royalties a fact? Was there any monetary incentive impacting why you left Skycade? Did certain older controversies start to kill your love for the game and Skycade? Jack responded saying, "To answer your final question, as that is the only straightforward one, when I stopped actively making videos on the server, I reduced my revenue share by a lot. But yes, I did still earn money from it for a few months. Not much because the server stopped being profitable pretty quickly. You phrase this like it's a bad thing, but it's perfectly normal for a founder of a business to continue owning a share of the company once they step down, and the years of promotional content I made was still getting views and bringing in players." Out of all the questions I asked, this was the only one he actually answered because it was straightforward. And I'll pretend that I don't think straightforward is code word for the only question that doesn't press me on something incredibly serious. But it's confirmed that Jack was still earning money from Skycade after he left. This makes it weird for me because when the server would eventually sink to new lows, Jack would respond being like, "Wow, I didn't know this was happening. I'm so puzzled by this, I'm shocked." And it's like, come on. But I mean, I don't see any glaring inconsistencies in this argument. I mean, his own company was called Skycade Limited before he changed it to like Jack Massey Welsh Limited or something like that. Seems kinda weird as well, considering that Taeon told me the server was making so little money they couldn't pay her or the other moderators. Now, I obviously don't think Jack knew that was happening, but I just think the contrast between the two is really stark. With Skycade having no real core to work around, the server began to show cracks in the surface. A lot of the old players by this point were simply sick and tired of being constantly held over by promises of new announcements and new changes this time, so they simply left. And although the lockdown tidal wave was beneficial, it wasn't enough. The toxic community remained, still bearing the scars of Alex's actions, and staff decisions seemed to be still ill-advised. They rebranded the entire forums to a far more cartoony style, which made everything worse and caused a lot of backlash from players who didn't want it. Skycade also tried a system of separate representatives from the community. Though it was made to connect with the players more, it gave a lot of power to those who got it, and the system was ineffective. Skycade was starting to look like a lost cause, and everyone could see it. Many Minecraft YouTubers neglected to even pick up the server after Jack had left. The owners eventually resorted to a smaller creator called Tubbs, who primarily made videos not on YouTube, but on Fruit Lab. What the fuck is Fruit Lab? Well, it's a tiny streaming and uploading platform that pays creators on the blockchain. You can imagine that Tubbs didn't exactly become the new face of Skycade. By 2022, Skycade was nothing more than dust compared to its former relevancy. It once hit over 1,000 players daily. Now, with lockdown rules easing and interest in Minecraft decaying, Skycade would have been lucky to even get 100 players on at one time. The player average sunk to less than 1, and the server became a barren wasteland. Realizing that they were just running the server at a loss, the remaining staff ultimately decided to pull the plug. During and after Skycade's demise, the debate about who was responsible for it raged on. There were many reasons for why the server collapsed, but it didn't all come out of nowhere. It was a completely avoidable tragedy that was set in motion by the constant unchecked actions of one man. Surprising considering the server's traffic came from videos showing a system of accountability and justice. The reason I wanted to do a video about Skycade was because I was a pretty big fan of Jack Sucks at Life and his hacker trolling videos back in 2018 to 2019. Then I started playing on the server itself, and although it wasn't for a huge amount of time, I still have core memories from it, like making my own OP faction space with my friends. There has been some discussion about reviving Skycade, making a new server for a new community. It'd be fun to look back on, but as with everything, we view the past with nostalgia-tinted glasses. Behind the memories was a deep-seated chaos and negligence, and those foundations may never be stable. Not every cloud has a silver lining. Until next time, stay safe and stay toasty.